We got Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama and the aforementioned Nick Saban class of 26 signees, 23 ranked in the ESPN Top 300. Stephen, are you on the line with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you crystal clear, Stephen. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Fresh off the signing, excited about this class, Mark.
How can you not be excited about this class? Again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. 26 signed, 23 in the top 300. That is a record, and this could arguably be, from a number standpoint, at least projected as one of the greatest recruiting hauls of all time.
It is, and Nick Saban made a big deal of attacking both the offensive and defensive line. Of course, he would have loved to have gotten Chris Bogle, but Bogle choosing to stay in Florida. But you look at what Alabama has done offensively and defensively just on the front lines, getting Ishmael Sopser from Louisiana, a guy like DJ Dale from Penton, Alabama. Offensively, you rack up with Amari Kite, Evan Neal, Pierce Quick, Tanner Bowles, just so many big names along the offensive line. Defense, we can go back to Antonio Alfano from New Jersey. So Nick Saban very much so entrenched on having depth and having key guys on the offensive and defensive line in the trenches. This was a very, very exceptional class.
So the class, incredibly, could have been even better. Darnell Wright was looking at Alabama and Tennessee. Those were his final two stops and his final two teams on his radar. And he made Tennessee his choice, the five-star offensive tackle, as Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia were the only three teams in the country to sign multiple five-stars. Also had a few other guys that could have leaned Alabama's way, but certainly the decision of Ishmael Sopser to go Alabama's way in place of LSU was a key get today.
It was huge. Sopser faced a lot of pressure to stay at home. I remember, he's from Amite, Louisiana, which is an hour northeast of Baton Rouge. Ed Ogeron was on him hard. And to see how Nick Saban able to go in and get that young man just continues to add on to the number of Louisiana players that Saban has been able to go in and poach from the Tigers. When you take the likes of Denzel Duvall, Eddie Lacy, Landon Collins, Tim Williams, Chris Allen, Dylan Moses, guys like that into consideration, Saban continuing, also throwing Cam Robinson, Cam Sims, Hootie Jones, just so many guys that Nick Saban has gone into Louisiana, whether they're from Baton Rouge or surrounding areas, just poaching those guys from the Big Easy. And Ishmael Sopser, the latest of that group, with him standing at about 6'2", 300 pounds, this is somebody that could potentially be Quentin Williams' immediate replacement. Now he's going to have to battle DJ Dale, battle Fadarian Mathis, also battle the likes of possibly a Christian Barmore in there as well. DJ Dale, Fadarian Mathis, and Christian Barmore for that defensive tackle spot, but Ishmael Sopser definitely has the size and the athletic capabilities to come in and really fight for some early playing time.
Talking Alabama Crimson Tide on National Signing Day with Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. So I encourage you to go to touchdownalabama.net. Check out a plethora of information involving all Alabama sports, and specifically, of course, we talk football. How's that basketball team doing, that men's basketball team?
Right now, Mark, we're just trying to get these kids to stay consistent. At one moment, they're knocking off top 25 teams. The next moment, they're having time, beating. They're having tough times beating Auburn, beating Texas A&M. So we're just trying to have Avery Johnson keep the car in the road in terms of getting this team back to the NCAA tournament, in which it was there last year, did beat a really good Virginia Tech team before falling to Villanova. But the biggest thing for Avery Johnson in basketball, getting a consistent lineup on the floor to where we can run the floor, we make mid-range shots, we can knock down some threes when we need to, And for goodness sake, make some free throws when it counts.
That's right. You got to make those freebies. Talking Alabama football with Stephen M. Smith from Touchdown Alabama. There was certainly a case that I would make just as devil's advocate against people that would claim Alabama had the biggest dynasty in college football a few years ago, and the New England Patriots were the greatest dynasty in NFL history. And now I pretty much give up on both accounts. Tom Brady, I would make the distinction: greatest quarterback, most accomplished quarterback, certainly the most accomplished of all time. Bill Belichick certainly has one more than anyone in the modern era by far. On the Alabama side in college football, it's just amazing at his age, and he's not advanced. Men and people generally grow a little bit more gracefully old than they did in past generations when a 55-year-old coach was an old guy back in the 1950s and 60s, and Nick Saban very much taking care of himself. But this juggernaut, despite what we saw in the national championship game, we almost expect Alabama sometimes to be immortal, and they had a letdown, and Clemson certainly played lights out and was the much better team on that particular night. But this is still the best football program in the country, and it's just not ending. It is not slowing down, Stephen.
It's not, and the biggest thing about that, Mark, is getting the players that understand how important Alabama is. And for a lot of programs, you look at the Clemsons, the Oklahomas, the Ohio States, the USCs of the world, and no offense to those programs, those are marquee program. A lot of those guys, they have to constantly stress on why it's important to go to that particular program, why it's important, why you should come here, why we have your best interest at heart versus Alabama. Nick Saban could come off a helicopter and people are losing their minds. I mean, people can just point to the number of different national championships, the number of different All-Americans, the number of different players have gone to the National Football League and have had success. Case in point, just look at Donta Hightower. I mean, my gracious, his two hands are filled with with rings, whether they be national championship rings at Alabama, conference title rings at Alabama, and 3 Super Bowl rings with the New England Patriots. So the way Saban's been able to keep this thing going is getting the players that fully understand the importance of playing at Alabama, but most importantly, getting those homegrown kids from the state that want to defend the homegrown turf. If you look at this 2019 class, for just a moment here, Mark, look at the number of kids from this class come from the state of Alabama. You look at Talia Tagovailoa, who played football at Thompson High School in Alabaster, Alabama, just an hour outside Tuscaloosa. Talia Tagovailoa, Amari Kite, Pierce Quigg, Paul Tyson, DJ Dale, who's from Pinson, Alabama, Clay Chalkville High School. The list goes on. But of the 26 to 27 signees, we're looking at maybe 8 to 9, probably even 10 guys that come from this state. They understand what it means to put on that crimson and white. They understand what it means to defend the home turf. And that's what's allowing Nick Saban to keep it going, getting these guys that understand what it means to play at the University of Alabama, but also getting those coaches that understand what it means to come in, teach, and develop and cultivate these guys.
We got Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama on the line. And, of course, again, the Tide statistically in regards to any metrics to measure this class just brought in an incredible haul. Stephen, we appreciate you joining us tonight to give us some perspective on Alabama's amazing recruiting class, but not amazing when you consider what they've done under Nick Saban since 2007 in bringing in talent. Thank you so much, Stephen.
No problem, Mark. Thank you.